You know, I always give you all a teaser, so I'm going to start it off like I always do. This organization was here about a year ago, gave some really good information about something that is near and dear to my heart. And I have one of the stars of the previous program sitting right to my right hand. So I'll see you on the other end of this commercial. We're going to go back. Welcome back to a program focused on health. And the star that I was talking about is to my right, and the organization is Columbus Hospice. We're going to give you some good information. But, you know, I'm going to start out with Tisha. I'm going to talk about another program that we have never talked about, but we're going to today. But I want Tisha to really talk about the one thing that touches my heart about Columbus Hospice. And so, Tisha, first of all, I want you to look in that camera. You're a superstar now. You're not camera shy. Let everybody know everything about Tisha. And then we're starting to, and then I'm going to introduce the lovely young lady on your right and let her look into that camera and do the same thing. So, Tisha, you're batter up.
All right. Well, thank you, Pops. And it's good to see you again. I am glad to be here. I'm Tisha Mack with Columbus Hospice, Georgia and Alabama. Currently, I'm the admissions director there, and I handle just about anything that's coming through the phones or through the door with any questions regarding admissions. I've been there for going on 9 years now. Feels like a little bit longer, but I've always had a heart for Columbus Hospice, so I always knew even before I went there, that's where I would end up. So.
And we're going to touch on that too, because it takes a special person to work in hospice care. Now, Laura, would you look at this camera? You're a newbie. Let everybody know about Laura and what Laura does.
Hi, my name is Laura Schmidt. I'm a bereavement counselor at Columbus Hospice. And what that means is I follow people after the death of a loved one. So we're still here for y'all, as we say in the South. We're still here for you even after a loss. I've been with Columbus Hospice now for 8 years. And prior to that, much of my career was as a crisis counselor in hospitals. So I'm happy to be here today. Thanks for having us.
And y'all can't see, but to my immediate left is my adopted daughter, Shamika. Everybody knows Shamika from working on the area on aging. Everybody who's been out in the community knows Shamika. So she's with Columbus Hospice. And you can't see Ginger over there, all far corner. She said, I'm just going to sit here and just direct everything. So she's over in the camera. I'm going to see if I can maybe get a camera to sneak her on when she's not looking. But anyway, let us start out with Tisha. Tisha, you mentioned something which is near and dear to my heart. You mentioned it. You have to have a heart for people at really one of the most difficult times in their lives. And you really have to have a heart for people because you're meeting strangers. And really, when they see you, Tisha, or they see Laura, or they see Shamika, or they see Ginger, all of y'all wear the face of Columbus Hospice. And I'm going to tell something really quick, and then we're going to go into all that Columbus has. A very good friend of the Barnes family passed away about a month and a half ago. Very healthy individual, never sick. All of a sudden, he was having problems. Went to the doctor diagnosed him with a mass on his lung which had metastasized to his brain. This individual was loved in our community. He was one of the most marvelous individuals, he and his wife. Things radically changed in a week. When he left the hospital on a Friday, Saturday, the social worker from Columbus Hospice was there, sitting there, because then a lot of people have a lot of questions.
Right.
Even when you're a professional, as we are, because this person is a friend of mine, she's a registered nurse. But at a time like that, the one thing that no one has in a situation like that is objectivity, because you're too subjective to your situation. Exactly. So having someone come in, a trained professional, is crucial at a time like that. And to me, the hardest thing for me in the community for years was to let individuals know hospice is an assist to you in taking care of your loved one. And Tisha, I would like for you to not only speak about that, but speak about the many ways that hospice care is so crucial in a person's life, because your life can change like that. So would you?
And you're right, so many times we get called in when people are finding out for the first time that they're sick. They had no idea. They've been healthy as a horse their
Right.
whole life.
Right.
So how do you come in and handle that conversation? And it is a tough conversation. A lot of times we follow the lead of the family though. We need to know what is their concern because again, like you were saying, there's so many things that Columbus Hospice can do and we can offer to these families. But first, before everything else, we have to stop and find out what is their biggest concern, what is their goal. Everything that we do needs to revolve around that patient and that family.
That's exactly right.
And so some of the general things we offer and we talk about at those admission visits, we have a nurse that comes out, we have a chaplain and a social worker, we have a CNA that can come out and help with bathing. And those are just the basics. Those are the bare roots of what we offer. And then from there, it just blossoms. Again, it's so dependent on what the family and the patient need. And go ahead.
And teach, no, let me tell you, you're hitting it out the park because it all depends on what the patient and the
Right.
family needs. And so to me, that's the most crucial part of having hospice care. And then a lot of times, Tisha, the families don't even realize
Right.
because a trained professional, a nurse, does know and can suggest. Because the one biggest thing that I tell people is that the spouse, the son, the daughter, the nephew, niece, they are the ones that we assist
Right.
in the care of a loved one.
Correct. And it is important. When we're having those meetings with them, first we're assessing the patient, obviously. We have to see what's going on with the patient. You can take an umbrella diagnosis such as Alzheimer's, but again, we may offer those same things, but what does that patient specifically need?
Bingo.
What is it that family is desperate
Bingo.
for? And if the first thing they say is, I need a break, okay, well, do we need to discuss respite care?
See.
The other families may not need to discuss that right off the bat.
That
So
is exactly
again,
right.
part of the nurse going in, part of the social worker going in, all of those things, those initial assessments are so important because what we're finding out is, what is it that they need as a whole?
And you wanted something, you just hit it out the park because it is the specificity of care for each individual, and things may be different. Things a lot of times are different. And part of the job, the skill, the knowledge of a trained person is to go in there and to really use that level of specificity to be able to suggest to the person what you as a trained person, educated person, knows. So it's actually an assist to everyone in the care of your loved ones. And so that's pretty much the gist of why hospice care is so crucial for individuals when you're in that time of your loved one's life where you really want to do the best for them, and you're not stepping back and you're not giving up
Right.
on your loved ones. What you're actually doing is just you know what I liken it to. I liken it to a race where a person gets off and they're running, and then they pass the baton to the other person, and that's why I liken hospice care, that you're harnessing the skills that you have the love for the person, but you may not have the skills necessary to take care of that. And someone like Tisha and the individuals in Columbus Hospice, they have that type of skills to help you at a very crucial time in your life. I'm telling you, Tisha, why do you think I had? But Mike, why do you think I got Tisha here? Because I know she can sum things up really. And Laura's here because Laura is going to talk about something that maybe a lot of you may not even know that's really available, but guess what? You need to know it, and you're going to know it and hear about it from Laura on the other end of this commercial. See how easy that was?
Man, I wish the city would fix these darn potholes. Someone needs to report this.
Has this ever happened to you and you didn't know who to call? It's simple. Dial 311 or 706-653-4000. Columbus 311 Citizen Service Center. Our goal is to provide complete, accurate, and timely information to citizens and employees regarding complaints, inquiries, and requests for information. Columbus 311 Citizen Service Center, your direct link to city service.
Welcome back to Focus on Health again. So we had a good time. Tisha knocked it out the park. She did such a great job talking about just one of the areas about hospice care that's near and dear to my heart. Now I'm going to pass the baton here to Laura, who has a good sense of humor, by the way. It was a fantastic joke that she just told, but I'm going to have Laura look into that camera right there, tell her everything about herself, and she's going to be talking about a really good area, bereavement. So Laura, if you're looking there, and be sure to give all the contact information about Columbus Hospice, but tell them about yourself. How long you been doing bereavement and stuff again?
I have been with bereavement for the past, I believe, 3 years. As I said before that, crisis counseling, and I've been with Columbus Hospice for 8 years. So this is really near and dear to my heart. And you know, you were saying that we help the families take care of the patient, and after the patient dies, we help families take care of themselves.
Bingo.
I try to tell people, you know, everything that you did for your loved one, I want you now to think about doing it for you. You woke up in the morning, you thought, what do they need to eat? How do I lift their spirits? I want you to ask those same questions of yourself. And we are available with bereavement. We offer one-on-one grief support counseling. We also offer open grief support groups. Your loved one did not need to be with Columbus Hospice.
Good point.
And we are available, you know, at least the first 13 months, because sometimes there's so much to do after a loss. And we're just in shock and numb that when some of that action settles down, there's time to stop and feel. And no, you are not crazy for needing help. You're just grieving, and we don't have to do it alone. So now something else that's very important is the little ones, the young grievers, the teens.
Right,
And that's what we
very
wanted to
important.
tell you
Tell
about
about-
Camp Hope today.
Right. And would you give them the number if they want to call?
The number, we're going to tell you more about Camp Hope, but think about this number, write it down, go grab your pencil, 706-569-7992. And that number's on the screen. It's going to come up again later. So.
And to her right and to my right, everybody knows Shamika, Shamika, Shamika. Shamika, you look into that and you tell them about yourself. Everybody knows you've been with the area on aging, you've been doing so many good things in the community. When I told Mike you were coming on the show, he started doing a jig. Shamika, 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 Shamika. So look into that camera and tell them about you and what you're doing at Columbus Hospice and your link to what we're going to be talking about.
My name is Shamika Averett. I've been with Columbus Hospice for about 2.5 years now almost, and I'm a community outreach liaison. So I go in and call on doctors' offices and nursing homes and talk about and offer our services. And my link to Camp Hope is that last year was my first year attending Camp Hope, and got to meet some great children and got to be around some kids who were grieving, and in the process of my grief, they helped me.
Right.
So it was a wonderful experience.
Good. So this is a dynamic show here right now. And of course, Ginger is over there to our left. I'm going to see if I can just sneak her on the camera. She don't want to be on the camera, folks. You understand? But we just might just disrupt that a little bit. Okay, so now I want to know everything. I'm very concerned because this good friend of ours, her husband passed, and she has been very laudatory about Columbus Hospice. So you just really, Laura, hit the tip of the iceberg when it comes to bereavement, because one of the things you said is the fact that no, you're not crazy, no, you're not weak. This is what I hear a lot. I'm just not strong enough. So would you talk a little bit about bereavement, maybe the stages, and everyone grieves in their normal way, that there's no standard, it's the second week, I should be moving, none of that nonsense. Just talk about bereavement itself. And then we're going to ease into Camp Hope.
Okay. Well, you're exactly right. There's no right way to grieve. There are stages. There are different models and graphs you can look at. The main thing to look at is you. How you're feeling today. What's happening today? What do I need today? Sometimes people worry if they go lay in bed, they can't do that. If you feel like laying in bed, laying in bed.
Good.
If you're still laying in bed 3 months from now and can't function, we'll get you some help. But on a given day, laying in bed or not talking or wanting to stay busy, it varies. Grief can be like a fan. One moment we're in our grief, and then we come over to some healing, and then we feel guilty. And so healthy grieving is just being able to ease back and forth. And in bereavement, we can come and affirm that in our support groups. You can talk to other people and realize what they do. You know, it's amazing in support groups. Somebody will ask somebody, do you talk to him? Yeah, I talk to him. And just to be with people who are like-minded. And that's what we try to do in Camp Hope, is to bring the young griever together. You know, with young people, sometimes we're afraid they look good on the outside and they grieve differently than we do.
And we do. Right.
And adults can be afraid, well, if I bring it up, I'm going to stir the pot and make them feel something. And I assure you, anyone old enough to love is old enough to grieve. And at Camp Hope, we want to give them a place to do that, a healthy place.
So let's now, first of all, before we get off, I'd like to tell you, it's the first time I've heard grieving classified as like a fan, but you want to say this right, because if the air hits you one time, you might feel one way. The breeze comes back another way. That is an excellent analogy. You're smart.
Thank you.
Let's get into the slides. Okay, Camp Hope. Let's talk a little bit. So the 21st annual Camp Hope, Friday, June the 14th, 2019, from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Location, Pine Eden Retreat, Hamilton, Georgia. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so we gather at Columbus Hospice, 7:30 in the morning on that Friday. That's coming up. Now, we're going to give y'all that number again, but it's coming up, and we want to make sure that your child or teenager gets to come as we prepare. That's just in a few weeks. So give us a call if this is something you want to be involved in.
And now you say you gather at the Columbus Hospice, which is located on Moon Road?
Yes, sir.
So it's on Moon Road. We're going to give you all the address later on to that one, because I don't have it at the top of my head. Let's go to the next slide.
Camp Hope is a day camp for children and teens ages 6 to 16 who are coping with the death of a loved one.
And this could be, it doesn't have to be anything in link with Columbus Hospice at all.
Correct. We welcome anyone in the community.
Anyone that's grieving. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. The goals of Camp Hope. Understand they are not alone, which is crucial, Laura and Shamika. And feelings of loss and grief are normal. I'm going to have you talk about that in just a little bit. Allow the children and teens the opportunity to express emotions safely and this is very important, without judgment, and offer ways to cope with feelings. So just touch off those little things. First of all, understanding they are not alone in having feelings of loss and grief. That's normal.
Right. You know, we say adults grieve differently, so do children. The children wear a little button with a picture of their loved one, and just to go up to another child and say, who's that? Look, you have someone special as well. I'm not alone. And
that's awesome.
So to not be alone, to be in a safe place and know that there's help. I think sometimes too, children take on great responsibility to take care of the adults in their life.
Right.
And we give them a place to lessen that pressure and just be a kid where they are. They don't have to worry about us. And Shamika was there. Maybe you can tell us
Talk a little bit about that, Shamika.
Yes, I work with a little bit of the older, not older kids, but kind of middle-aged, I guess, maybe like 9 to 11. That was the age group I was comfortable with. And these kids were really able to kind of express themselves. We made masks, and we talked about how we feel on the outside versus how we feel on the inside. Because on the outside, we can smile and act happy around people. But on the inside, we're hurt, we're angry, we're crying on the inside. We don't want to tell an adult or tell someone else. Even as an adult, I dealt with that myself. I didn't want to tell anybody how sad I was. So I would just be happy all the time and smile and everything's good. But then on the inside, I was so hurt and so broken. And so the kids are able to express that with masks that they make.
Really?
They could do. They made masks.
That's good to express their inner feelings.
On one side was how they felt on the inside, and one side was how they felt on the outside. And I still have mine. I still even look at mine. They were able to make little shoe boxes of just things that reminded them of their family members, and they could decorate the outside of it. And on the outside of mine, I put my family members on it and things that my mother liked. She liked shoes. My brother liked basketball. You know, my daughter liked princess kind of stuff.
Right,
So I decorated mine that way. So they were able to think about their grandfather, think about their grandmother or their
Sure.
loved one, and decorate a box and put their loved ones' things in it that meant something to them. So I took away a lot from that. So being a part of this camp would be awesome for kids in our community that have suffered through any level of trauma or grief, to be able to come and share that with other kids their age on their level is wonderful. I had a
Sure.
wonderful time, and like I said, it helped me, you know. And at the end of it, we came back to Columbus Hospice, and we were good to the environment. We didn't release balloons, so we just waved ribbons in the air,
Right.
and we put on each ribbon something about our loved ones. So
that
it
was-
was wonderful. So I think these kids really benefit from being a part of it.
Well, you want to something that just touches your heart, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Y'all do an awesome job.
It really is a celebration
It's a
of their loved one.
But more important than with that, you know, adults have difficult time, but I can imagine children who don't have many reference points as an adult, that this gives them one definite reference point that it's okay to grieve, that they can think about their loved ones in a very positive way, as Shamika was saying. This is just awesome. And we're going to go to the next slide because I want our viewing audience to know everything about it. That's next slide.
It is free to the community.
There we go.
Thanks to AFLAC. Thank you very
There
much,
we
AFLAC.
go.
They've been helping us for years to offer this.
AFLAC is a huge community partner to a lot of organizations, and they do so many works. Next slide, please.
So some of what Shamika hit on these next 3 slides hit on. What we want to do is address feelings, memories, and coping skills.
Sure.
And so with the feelings, as Shamika said, you can see there's a picture of a mask there split on one side. Some people cover their sadness with being the jokester or being mad all the time or the bully or being cool. And so there's time to look at that. And a big part of feelings is being able to name them. And so that section is really about helping children just stop and say, what am I feeling?
Right.
Because children tend to act out their feelings instead of we try to help them name them, and teens as well.
And that's awesome. Next slide, please.
And then the memories. We grieve and we heal by remembering. And so we talk about telling stories and creating those special memory boxes that Shamika was talking about. There's a young man there working on his box. They love working on those boxes. It's a sacred thing.
It's a safe thing that allows them to really dig deep within themselves and be expressive.
Right, and honor their loved one.
Next slide, please. Coping skills.
And then the coping skills. Journaling, we give them journals related to their age. A teen gets a different journal than a 7-year-old,
Sure.
obviously. Physical activity. The coping skills, we try to incorporate those all day long. So we have fun. In the one picture there, there's a boy laying on the therapy dog. Beethoven, he'll be there. There's a picture of a child there coloring. The children swimming. So the physical activity, the play, the laughter, the memories.
What it's doing is it's allowing the child various ways within what they want to do to heal themselves.
Exactly.
Which is awesome.
And while others are being active, some kids might want to sit and talk.
Sure.
And that's fine, or sit
Sure.
and color. So
Okay, go to the next line. I think, well, I want to reiterate, let people know, look, take that number down. If you know of anyone, be sure to call that number.
and we know school is ending. There's a lot to do, but write that number down because it's upon us. So get us into your schedule there.
And what I would like, and I know that Mike would be amenable to that, is to, if you all get us a flyer, we will post that bad boy 24/7 until and then what I would like for you to do, give me a minute to, now, you know, they call these things smartphones, and rightfully so, because they're way smarter than pop bars. Trust me, what I tell you. Let me look at this here. We're talking June the 14th.
June 14th, we'd love to hear you at least by the end of the month, which is the 30th, in about 2 weeks.
What I would like to do is, and I'm going to find out in just a minute, is to have y'all come back on June the 11th, that's when we have our city council meeting to come out on the public agenda.
Okay, at the city council
At the
meeting.
city, which is right here, by the way.
Okay.
And that, you know, this, if we run a flyer, the reason I'm saying that, you know, this is a give me. This organization here is kind enough to offer this out to the whole community, not to anyone dealing specifically with Columbus Hospice. And then to have a community partner like AFLAC, you know, because this here crosses those, what's that one word that nothing happens left you have them? The Benjamins? Nothing happens without the Benjamins. So AFLAC being a good community partner, and this organization as well, that I know that there are a lot of kids who are grieving. And they need something like this, and something like this here is a godsend. And so we're going to do a flyer, and I'm going to have you all come out on the 11th. In fact, I'm going to do it as soon as we get off the camera.
We will make it work.
You will make it work. And so I would like to thank Tisha, I'd like to thank Laura, I'd like to thank Shamika, and Ginger, who's afraid to get on, no, I'm only teasing. She's not afraid to get on camera. She's just looking at this here, knew that these lovely young ladies would do an excellent job. So, okay, so now, let's do a, follow in, because we got maybe like around 4 minutes. Let's just do a recap, Laura, just looking into that camera again, talk about the bereavement services that Columbus Hospice offers and the number they can call, and then segue into Camp Hope, and then we'll close the program out. That camera right there.
Bereavement Services at Columbus Hospice is here to take care of you after your loved one dies. We don't just let you go. We have open grief support groups. We meet 4 times a month with support groups. Give us a call and find out when, and all you need to do is show up. We offer one-on-one grief support counseling if your loved one was with Columbus Hospice and you would just call and make an appointment. This is available throughout the year after your loss because we know grief is finicky and it shows up when it shows up. And just talking about grief, that's the main thing about grief, is to get it out. And this is what we teach our kids and teens at Camp Hope. Get it out in a journal, with your pastor, with your rabbi, with one of us at hospice. We're there for you. And we also offer Camp Hope because young people grieve too. If you're old enough to love, you're old enough to grieve. We have great activities, a lot of fun. It is a fun day. So you don't have to worry about that. Will be a sad day because we're going to have a good time.
And you're going to meet up at
Columbus
Columbus
Hospice.
Hospice on Moon Road.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to ask Mike to put the address on it. And Shamika, what would you like to add?
I just want to add that I hope people call us Camp Hope. I hope people call us and, encourage their children to come, help the adults look at this and say, hey, I've got a loved one that would benefit from this. I've got a 10-year-old that just lost her grandfather. I've got a 12-year-old that just lost their mother, whatever the case may be. And call us. And please, we will spend the day with your child and they'll be better for it. I mean, they're going to learn something. They're going to be able to express their grief. It's free. We do everything for them. We feed them that day and they have so much fun. And we're just going to encourage the community to give us a call.
So if you know of a child that would benefit from this, please call. You have all the information. I'd like to thank all these lovely young ladies here. And as always, when I end the show, I always say, until next time, please be good and kind to yourself because God loves you.